And it's beautiful the direction that you took with this discussion, because AI is for sure something that will revolutionize how we live. Especially because if we go back to the principle of Amazon and Jeff Bezos, what won't change in the human interaction is how we communicate with others. And AI is indeed based on the LLM, so large language models. That is a vector, indeed, how we communicate. And indeed, is the vector how a lot of hype is around the actual venture capital in AI, because people, founders, entrepreneurs that have a good pitch are able to sell to venture capital that have technical skills stuff that believe could be amazing to sell, but they don't have the why and the how written in a way that is a win-to-win with real reciprocity. And here is the clash between the hype and what it will come next year, most probably, when people will understand with a lot of failing and a lot of people that will go on the street for beg for money because they have lost everything they had in the past, that AI was not that good for that kind of idea. So hopefully it will be the typical curve of adoption that people will understand that AI is really good in discussing, letting you feel understood. And I was looking at some research lately where an analysis of which are the tokens, the topics that are typically discussed with AI, general AI. And it was beautiful to see that a lot of people are using AI like the best friend, or like the psychologist, or like a coach. That means to me, in the era of social network where everybody is super connected to the point that people are doing a porn food picture of whatever they eat for lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatsoever, they are not able to talk with their neighbor or with their parents or with their relative or with their husband, wife. And to me, it's shocking. Is this something that you are witnessing with the founders that you have in your company? And that is probably also is one of the reasons why you are more oriented toward consumer instead of toward fintech or SaaS.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I've seen it yet with, my founders just because AI is still relatively new.
Uh-huh.
But I would say that the way I look at the sort of the way I look at AI is I mean, again, it's much bigger to me than what the internet did for us. But I look at it as an extraordinarily powerful tool. And like any tool, you can go and buy a hammer and you can build a house, or you can hit somebody over the head with it. Right. So it's a very, very powerful tool. So it can be used to build, and it can be used to destroy. And I think with respect to there's a lot of benefits. What's really interesting is the children who are being born today in the world that are literally, I think, starting this year in 2025 is generation beta. And this is the generation that is growing up on AI, right? And
Uh-huh.
so my kids who are teenagers are technically Gen Z, but in the middle of their education, AI came out. So
Yes.
for example, my daughter, I dropped her off for her first day of sophomore year of high school today. And, she was asking about, I think geometry. She's concerned about geometry. And I said, you have this new tool that you didn't used to have. And I said, you can say to ChatGPT, not just explain whatever it is that you're struggling with in geometry, but you can say, explain it to someone who's a sophomore in high school, who's struggling and doesn't really understand the basic concepts. Like, you can prompt it to teach it to you just the way that you need to learn. And I wouldn't have said that to her 2 years ago, because that wouldn't have made that it didn't exist. And so she has access now to an extraordinarily powerful tool, maybe the best tutor on the planet that she has access to. And as long as she prompts it correctly.